Chair, I'd like to move the following motion. Given that the Liberal government released its internal economic data on carbon tax, revealing that it cost Canadians $30.5 billion over $1,800 for every household in Canada, this is in addition to the increased cost the carbon tax puts on gas, groceries, and home heating, and the Liberal government has tried to cover up this information for Canadians when the Parliamentary Budget Officer revealed that the Liberal government has had this data. They placed him under a gag order and attempted to ruin his reputation. The committee report to the House and that the Environment Minister must resign immediately. Mr. Chair, Minister Guilbeault needs to resign. Minister Guilbeault has been caught hiding and a damning report from Canadians. Canada's budget watchdog, the Parliamentary Budget Officer, revealed the Liberals were hiding a secret report from Canadians. Not only did we learn that the Liberals were keeping this internal carbon tax report secret from Canadians, we also learned they placed a gag order on Canada's budget watchdog. Yes, the Liberals silenced the Parliamentary Budget Officer with a gag order, preventing him from speaking about damning piece of evidence. We must ask ourselves, why would the government hide their own economic analysis of the carbon tax? Well, we know why.
Just a point of order. Is this a...
Mr. Longfield.
I'm looking at the motions that we had notice of motions, and this wasn't one of them. So is this a notice of a new motion? And if so, we probably shouldn't be debating it.
It was Thursday?
Yeah, we just read it on the 13th.
Yeah, it was, notice was given on the 13th. Yeah.
So we must ask ourselves, why would the government hide their own economic analysis of the carbon tax? Well, we now know. The government's internal carbon tax analysis revealed the cost of the carbon tax will be more than $30 billion a year. That's almost $2,000 per family. For years, Minister Guilbeault told Canadians that the carbon tax wouldn't cost them. But now we know that Minister Guilbeault willingly chose to vandalize Canada's economy with the carbon tax. He knew the carbon tax was going to harm our economy. He knew the carbon tax was going to cost Canadian families, but he chose to plow ahead with his carbon tax hikes anyways. Minister Guilbeault is an economic vandal. He needs to resign. After 9 years of this Liberal government, Canada is broken. Food is up, gas is up, home heating is up. In the middle of the cost of living crisis, Minister Guilbeault chose to punish Canadians with a carbon tax. The fact that Minister Guilbeault kept his economic analysis secret from Canadians is absurd. How can Minister Guilbeault be trusted? What else is he keeping from Canadians as a secret? In testifying before our committee, Minister Guilbeault was asked if he plans on increasing the carbon tax over $170 a ton past 2030. He refused to rule out further carbon tax hikes. I asked the Environment Minister at committee, and I quote, "Has your government decided whether they will increase the carbon tax over $170 a ton past 2030? Yes or no?" End quote. And the Environment Minister dared to respond with, and I quote, "I'm not obliged to answer yes or no to those questions," end quote. The fact that his carbon tax will cost the Canadian economy over $30 billion per year doesn't bother Minister Guilbeault. The Environment Minister doesn't believe he needs to tell Canadians if he plans to hike the tax on gas, heat, and groceries even further. I encourage all members of the committee to ask Canadians if they have confidence in Minister Guilbeault. Because if they did, they would quickly realize that most Canadians want Mr. Guilbeault to go. And I agree. I represent a completely rural constituency. No minister in this government has inflicted more harm on rural Canada than Minister Guilbeault. Minister Guilbeault has to go, and that is right now. Thank you very much.
Couverton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Over a year ago, the Canadian Climate Institute issued a statement that said that the PBO's latest carbon pricing report had big flaws. It took a little bit over a year for the Parliamentary Budget Officer to re-quantify the economic effects of carbon pricing and issue their statement that there was flaws in their 2022 and 2023 report. So we respect and appreciate the work of the PBO, and we're looking forward to their clarification this fall. I'd like to reiterate the open letter from 300 economists on Canadian carbon pricing has been up on the Ecofiscal website for over 3 months. I wonder if any of the Conservatives have taken the opportunity to read it or to heed some of the very pointed requests and recommendations that the economists make. They basically urge people who are naysaying to come up with an alternative if they are making suggestions that carbon pricing, which is very, very effective at both reducing emissions with our revenue neutral approach. It also supports energy affordability. But Mr. Speaker, what's more concerning than that is that despite the fact that the PBO has arrived at committee to clarify that despite being badgered by Conservative MPs, as we've seen on this committee today, he wanted to re-clarify that he has not been told not to disclose government's carbon pricing analysis. He clarified that in the news, and he clarified that in the committee, and yet the Conservatives are misrepresenting what he said in what he said was his second language and made a mistake. So I would like for the Conservatives to read the new...
Please.
The Conservatives should read the news, and they should accept the fact that the Parliamentary Budget Officer re-clarified that his economic analysis of the impact of the carbon tax was overestimated in his report of 2022 and 2023, that the Canadian Climate Institute basically warned more than a year ago that there were flaws, and despite those flaws, the PBO confirmed that 80% of Canadian households get more money back than they pay in carbon pricing. And I'd remind Canadians who are watching the Environment Committee that on June 14th, many Canadians received their Canada carbon rebate, as I did. If you did your taxes on time but not early, then you would have received April's payment on the 14th. But, Mr. Speaker, like I said, what's more concerning is that the Conservatives continue to not just badger witnesses, but also completely misrepresent.
Yeah, just a second. Is it a real point of order?
Is Adam, does he plan on shutting down debate?
Mr. Vancouverden, to you. Thanks.
No. Come on. What's the point of order?
Does Mr. Vancouverden intend to shut down debate?
Well, he'll say when he wants to, I guess. Go ahead, Mr. Vancouverden, go.
What report?
You just mentioned
Sure. I would absolutely love to table the report from 300 Canadian economists
Okay, order.
on carbon pricing.
So we got Mr. Vancouverden has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I said, Mr. Giroux, the Parliamentary Budget Officer, re-clarified that after being badgered on committee, speaking in his second language, he made a mistake. And he made an error that he re-clarified on Monday. And yet the Conservatives are using the previous error. They're basically saying that Monday didn't happen. Mr. Speaker, it's unbecoming of any member of Parliament to badger a witness or to misrepresent a public servant. That's unbecoming of any member of Parliament. For that reason, and out of respect for our witnesses, I would ask that we adjourn debate on this frivolous motion.
Okay, we'll go to a vote.
Motion to adjourn debate. Mr. Ali?
Yes.
Mr. Longfield?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor-Roy? Mr. Vancouverden?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Monsieur Datel?
No.
Mr. Cram? Opposed. Mr. Leslie?
No.
Mr. Mazer? No. Madame Posey?
Oui.
Ms. Collins?
Yes.
Okay.
7 yeas, 4 nays.
Point of order, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
As requested, I'd like to table the report where the PBO said he is not being muzzled by the Liberal government despite the fact that Conservative MPs badgered him at committee.
So you want to table his report, what did you?
A news article.
News article?
Where the PBO reclarifies his position on the economic
So-
impact of
Well,
the.
just a
Point of order.
second. I'm suspending for 2 seconds. Okay.
You asked me.
So, Mr.
Just
Vancouver.
Chair,
Yes.
just point of clarification, what is he actually sending to committee? Is it
Well,
a news article or is it an actual report done by the PBO?
Vancouverton right now. So, Mr. Vancouverton, if you wish to send this article to the committee, we'll have it translated and distributed. Is that what you'd like to do?
I'm happy to. I'm responding to a request from Mr. Leslie. I can send the Canada's Ecofiscal Commission's report by 300 economists indicating that carbon pricing is effective and is not contributing to inflation.
You can send what you wish and we'll distribute it.
Okay, thank you very much,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
We're basically out of time, unfortunately. And I'm going to suspend the meeting and we'll take a few minutes to go in camera and take the time required to make the adjustments to go into camera. And I want to thank our witnesses for being here and for answering our questions. If we don't see you before the summer break, I wish you all a good summer. I know you'll be busy, but hopefully you'll get some time for a bit of vacation.